Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.
Jack Gorniak trying to cycle it around into the corner. Here we go. In front shot. Score! Brandon McManus! The comeback! The Komets are now in the lead. The Nailers turn the puck over behind the net, and the Komets have come all the way back.
Pretty nice little Saturday night in Wheeling.
The crowd there didn't match my enthusiasm.
It's hard to believe, when you're leading 3-1 in the third period and give up 4 goals. But no, that really turned that period turned the weekend around for the Komets. You had a 3-1 loss at Wheeling on Friday night, and then you're down 3-1 heading into the third period and score 4 goals. 5 goals total. 4 goals in the third period alone. I should have introduced you. He's Shane Albahrani. At this point in the season, okay? Talking Komets Corner with us. Overall, the weekend, 3 games on the road. You come back with 4 points, including that dramatic win on Saturday. If you're the Komets, heading into some more road games this week. But how are you feeling about this team, and what's the vibe around the Komets after coming back from Wheeling and then a win against in-state rival Indy on Sunday?
Well, you win the week again. You say you got to be feeling pretty good. You get 4 out of a possible 6 points, and even the game on Friday, you didn't play poorly. It was just you ran into another hot goaltender. We had 17 shots, I think, in the first period on Friday night and didn't score a goal. So when that happens, you're like, oh, it's going to be a long night for us because we can't beat this guy. The effort was there. Everything was there. We just didn't score any goals on Gauthier. You're going to be feeling pretty good. You're now going to Iowa. You got a 5-point cushion now in Iowa with a game at hand, and you're going head-to-head with them for 3 games. So you got a chance to, possibly clinch a spot in the playoffs this weekend, and you're going to be a couple steps closer to getting the number 2 seed.
Now, I'm looking at this name, Krankovic.
There you go.
There doesn't seem to be enough vowels. You're talking Crnkovic.
It's a hockey name.
It is a hockey name, and he's got a hockey game because he had a pretty good weekend debuting. He gets traded from Allen. Obviously, the Komets have to give up something to get something in Gilden and Morrison. But you're talking about 1 goal, 3 assists over the weekend in 3 games. He seemed to fit in pretty seamlessly over the weekend.
Yeah, not a bad debut. I honestly think at the end of the day, that's going to be a steal of a trade for the Komets. Kyle was Allen's best player. And here he is now in the heat of a playoff race, and this guy knows how to score. He knows how to skate. You think about how fast Jack Gorniak is, and now you've got a guy who complements him. And now if you stick him on a different line, now you've got to worry about all that extra speed, and you also got to worry about now the size the Komets have with Jermaine Lowen coming back, and Max Patterson, who's another big kid, 6'6", coming out of junior. So right now we got a good mix of size, speed, goal scoring, good defense, and excellent goaltending. So it's everything you want going into the playoffs.
You read my mind when you said Jermaine Lowen, because I had a chance to talk to a couple of the newer Komets, Matthew Bowdens, Jermaine Lowen, over the
old clients, if you will.
I had forgotten that Lowen had played like 19 games, a few years ago with the Komets. But I had a chance to chat with them during practice this week before we get into some of the highlights of this weekend's games. Let's take a look at what Mr. Bowdens and Mr. Lowen had to say about returning to Fort Wayne.
As an older guy here, coming back, it's funny how the hockey world works, but I'm excited to be back here and playing against these guys. I know it's a hard team to play against, and I don't know how many more years I got left, so I'm excited to be here and excited to go on a little run with this team. I think tough to play against. In Cincy, we had some trouble with them, and I think they play that brand of hockey similar to when I was here, and make every night tough on the opponents. And for sure, winning tradition is the first thing. Tough season with Cincy and Worcester, but having an opportunity to come here and started my pro career here, we had an opportunity to win and be a nice way to finish it off. So that was kind of. I always seen them as a tough team to play against, and in playoffs, that's how you have success. So that was one of the big things that drew me back to Fort Wayne.
I look to bring some physicality and just work hard every shift, and bring that grit, a little bit of grinding too on forechecks, and just if there needs to be a fight, be involved in that, and make sure I stand up for my teammates. That's I think an important thing for the team going forward and heading into playoffs. I've really enjoyed hanging out, being around with the guys, and playing against them a bunch this year with Kalamazoo. They're a good group of guys, good systems, and they know how to play well as a unit. And obviously, you can see there's been a lot of success over the years for Fort Wayne. They're a bunch of great guys, and they've been so welcoming. And so I'm looking forward to getting back to playing hockey again. I've been off for a few months, and so I'm excited to get out there and get on the forecheck.
I don't know if you can tell in the video, Jermaine Lowen is a large individual.
Yes, I've had cars that are smaller than him that I've owned over the years. It is a very, very big man.
I was going to say, they list him at 6'4", 230. I was like...
He's every bit of that and a little bit more.
That's what I thought. It was funny because I was at practice on Wednesday, and he skated by the ice, and David Franke was right next to me, and I was like, man, that's a big dude. And David turns to me and he goes, that Jermaine Lowen's a big dude. And I was like, I literally had just crossed my, like, he is a massive guy.
Yeah.
Really, really nice guy, from Jamaica. Makes me think of Cool Runnings, the old bobsled team with John Candy and everything back in the day in that movie. But what do Bowdens and what do Lowen bring to this team? You're talking about two forwards that have some physicality and some toughness about them.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. Without Yannick Turcotte in the lineup, or he signed with Chicago, so he won't be coming back. So, teams now have to have their head on a swivel with those two guys out there. And they played limited minutes. Bowdens played on Friday. Jermaine played on Sunday. And I'll tell you what, they both went out there and laid out hits immediately on their first shifts. And now teams got to worry about that. So I'm not sure if you're going to see a lot of them see those guys in the same game. You think you might see a little bit of a rotation there. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's great to have those two back. They're two good character guys, and Matt Bowdens knows how to win, and that's kind of why he's back here. He's a guy who just knows how to win championships.
Former Komets captain.
That's right.
There you go. Let's take a look at some of the highlights, starting with Friday's game in Wheeling. As far as Friday goes, it's a 3-1 loss, but Brandon McManus, I don't think we talk enough about Brandon McManus because he got his 14th goal in this one, and the Komets, outshot Wheeling in this one 34-30. But like you said, sometimes you run into a hot goalie, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Taylor Gauthier is one of the best in the league. I actually voted for him last year to be the MVP of the entire league. So, no, he's really good, and when he's on, he is on. And Brandon McManus, he's one of those guys that, he's going to be in the running for the Unsung Hero Award. You mentioned 14 goals, maybe the quietest 14-goal scorer we have. And but he's a guy who goes out and works and grinds every game. So, really happy to have him in Fort Wayne. He was picked up in a trade in the offseason, and he's going to be a key part here going down the stretch.
What was the message, or what was the vibe around this team after Friday night going into Saturday? Obviously, you don't want to drop 2 in a row, but what was the main point of emphasis that you could see heading into Saturday's game coming off the loss on Friday?
I think, it was good because, you played well. It's, again, you tip your cap to the goaltender. I think they gave Wheeling a little bit too much of the middle of the ice there in that first game, so we wanted to take that away in game number 2. And they did it at the end of the game, not so much the start of the game on Saturday. But
it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's right. No, I mean, I think the vibe was good because we know, they played with them. They were, I thought they had a better lineup than Wheeling. They skated up and down the ice. But again, just like that game last Sunday against Kalamazoo, hey, you know what, goaltender, it's going to happen. So, you go back Saturday night, you get off to a slow start in Saturday night, so things weren't working with us a whole lot. But then again, just you finish. And the Komets have been a really good third-period team all year.
Yeah, and you look at that third period, Dugan gets his 20th to kind of get things rolling. Then you see Gansky off the face-off get a goal, which is rare for him, but you love to see it. The big guy putting one in the back of the net. What does Gansky bring to this team other than obvious size? It's nice to see him get a little snipe in there as well.
Well, what was really cool about that is that it was a set play for Noah Gansky, and that's something the other team probably isn't looking for. You're not thinking a set play to go to number 21. That one was a set play for him, and he absolutely buried it. So, he's kind of like a secret weapon. He actually has got a really good shot, and actually is a pretty good skater going to the net, as you saw on that clip. So he's a guy, another one of those guys who is just unsung. I think he's more of a stay-at-home defenseman, but he's got a lot of offensive prowess that I think that could be exploited here down the stretch.
And McManus gets the go-ahead goal on a really nice assist. We obviously heard the call earlier in the show, but at that point the Komets it was just rolling for you guys.
Yeah, again, a great third period team. It was a roller coaster of emotions for me, that game, because they got down 2-0. Then you had a full 2 minutes of a 5-on-3 power play at the end of the second period, and we didn't score. And it was like, oh, it's going to be another one of those nights. But they came out firing in the third period. They scored 3 goals in 8 minutes and 8 seconds, and Wheeling had no idea what to do with the Komets in the third period. And it was weird because as I'm calling the game, it was like, I have not called out any Wheeling players throughout this whole period because the Komets had the puck the entire time. So it was a great comeback. It was a great, just an adrenaline rush. And even though we had tired legs, we had to make the long trip to Indy. You know, we got into our beds at about 4:30 a.m. Sunday morning. But so much adrenaline, so much confidence coming off that third period, it really went into Sunday.
Yeah, talk about the confidence going into Sunday coming after that win. You take a look at Sunday's goal scores. Gorniak gets another one. He had the empty netter on Saturday night. So he's now up to 15 goals.
Yeah.
And Tutayev gets a couple of goals, power play goals as well. So you have to feel pretty good about where special teams are at this point.
Yeah, Sunday was an absolute textbook win. That's what you want to do. You score first. You take advantage of the power plays. You get 2 power play goals, and then Brett Brochu playing out of his mind. 40 saves. He's 4-1 when he has 40 or more saves in a game. That's a crazy stat for me. So they did everything right on Sunday, and the specialty teams. I had to be reminded of this, that power plays, it's a little bit of an overrated stat because it really matters when you score 5-on-5. It's great to get those power play goals, but guess who had one of the top power plays in the league last year? Top 5, Fort Wayne Komets, did not make the playoffs. Guess who wasn't even in the top 15? The Florida Everblades. They won the cup. So when you get into the playoffs, those power play chances are going to shrink.
Yeah.
So it really kind of doesn't matter. It's 5-on-5 play when you get into the playoffs. And I'm someone, just like the fans, you're like, hey, we got to score on the power play here. I'm like, yes, we do. But again, it's all about that 5-on-5 play. It's more concerning.
That's an interesting point because I've noticed that as the Komets go to the postseason, you don't see the fighting because people do not want to take majors. Yeah. Like you don't see, most teams clean up a little of the little rinky-dink fouls, the rinky-dink penalties. You don't want 2 minutes here and there. So that's a good point. I had never really thought of it. Like that's why we have you on the show, Shane.
And myself, I need to be reminded of that too.
Okay. So coming off the weekend as a whole, we talked about it at the top of the show, 4 points over 3 games. This road swing continues now. We'll talk about that in just a second. But at this point, Komets look pretty firmly in second place as far as things are going, but obviously coming up on a big series against Iowa.
Yeah, again, you have a 5-point cushion now in Iowa, so you got to be feeling pretty good about that. 3 game at hand, and then you've got 3 games against them this weekend. But both all the rosters right now are in a little bit of a flux because you're getting the fresh talent coming out of juniors and coming out of college as well. So the Komets right now, they added a couple. Max Patterson played really well. Also Busby, who was signed as well, Dennis Busby, I thought played really well as well. So the Komets are not only looking at getting some fresh energy, but also to see what is the best lineup possible going into the playoffs, because again, you're secure. So it's okay to juggle a little bit, and it's okay to get some fresh legs in there and mess with the lines a little bit, because you are confident in your playoff spot. You're going to get there. Not sure where you're going to be seated, but again, you've got the inside track. So now you get a little bit of an experimentation here. And also you got to worry about, there's going to be call-ups, because at this point, everyone is hurting. That includes the Edmonton Oilers, the Bakersfield Condors, and the Fort Wayne Komets.
No one's healthy at this point.
No one's healthy. So I would expect even guys to go up to Bakersfield here because they're doing the same thing we are. Edmonton also doing the same thing. So, it's going to be a bit of an up and down here for the roster until we get to the end of the regular season.
Well, a lot has been made of how much the Komets are on the road in the month of March, but when they're at home, some pretty cool stuff can happen, and that happened with a super fan of some sort, Eli Tilley. Let's take a look at that story from the Komets' last home game.
With hockey, I've always wanted to play, but that'll probably never happen.
But why? In the midst of being a huge Komets fan, Eli has had his fair share of medical issues to endure.
Eli has kind of had these conditions growing up since he was born. The swelling of the body, the face, lips, hands, feet, double fracture of the lower spine, feet going numb and legs and falling, tingling.
But that hasn't got the best of him.
I kind of need help getting up in general, like off the couch, off a chair. And it's hard, it hurts a lot. You kind of just gotta push through it a tiny bit.
But after his sister Whitney introduced him to Komets hockey, he has been one of their biggest fans ever since.
It was fun. She told me everything. It mostly what sparked me to go more. I just love the sport.
And that love has inspired something else.
Skating on the ice was one of my dreams.
While trying to pursue that dream, the wheelchair was not allowed on the ice. Another fan, Sheena, wanted to take action.
And I asked, what is his, and he told me his favorite player. That's my daughter's favorite player also. So I'm like, let me talk to Noah, see what I can do. I gave his mom my skate. I'm like, if Eli fits it, he can wear them. So that night he fed in my skates.
So I went over there after the game on Sunday. I skated over there, and one of the fans was like, Eli's ready, Eli wants to go, and so it's obviously a no-brainer for me. And
they lifted him up and took him around, and he's still excited about it.
Be able to skate on the ice was amazing. It was very slippery at first, but I kind of saw what they do with the feet, back and forth. I kind of used that a tiny bit.
For him, I'm super happy he got to live out one of his dreams, and I'm happy to be a part of that. And like I said, it's a lot bigger than what hockey can present to most, right? So
it was awesome. Definitely a dream come true.
All right, Courtney Grimm. Courtney Grimm with that story for us. That's what it's all about. I think Deacon Poot said it pretty well. I know you've already relayed kind of your story about how you got interested in Komets hockey, but that's where the impact of some of these players can be felt when those kids are out there on the ice or near the ice and getting a chance to interact with these guys. That's what makes memories. That's what makes it special.
Yeah, this little things like that. I've said it on the show. A little thing like that happened to me when I was 9 years old. So it changed my life. So the players kind of realize that that the smallest thing that you do just makes a difference. And I've been around all kinds of athletes. But hockey guys are they're just a different breed. Just when it comes to kindness to the fans and giving back to the community, they are just the nicest people in the world. Hats off to all the guys on this team. They're a great group of guys, and they get it, obviously. And Noah Gansky and Nick Deacon Poot are great examples.
All right, let's take a look at the schedule this week. Really only one team that you need to put on there. You're talking about Friday at Iowa, Saturday at Iowa, Sunday at Iowa. You gotta get ready for a trip. You said it's only about 5 hours by bus.
Yeah,
depending on how you hit Chicago, right?
Yeah, depending on when we get through Chicago, it's about between 5 and 6 hours. But then, you're changing time zones, so you got to deal with that a little bit. So no, it's a fun trip to Iowa. It's a great spot. The hotel that we stay in is connected to the arena, so there's no other bus trips. Once you get there, the bus is parked. We don't have to get back on it until we leave on Sunday. So it's a nice location, and looking forward to it because it's gonna be a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, and it's all hockey all the time. You get to be at the arena, like you said. It's kind of weird, but you might be pretty well rested after a road trip like that when you only have to think about hockey and stay in the building. Let's take a look at the ECHL standings. We've talked a lot about it during the show, that the Komets now have a little bit of gap between them and Iowa. Obviously, you can improve that gap over the next week. But when you take a look at the standings, as we were talking about off the camera before the show, the teams in that 4 through 7 slot, a little bit of, not movement, but they've differentiated themselves a little bit, especially with Cincinnati over the last week or so.
Yeah, Cincinnati didn't have a good weekend. They dip a little bit there in the standings, but still very much in it.
Mm-hmm.
You got teams, everyone else still has double-digit games left, so there's still a lot of points out there, and everybody's playing each other for the most part. So basically every game is a 4-point swing, and the Komets will be in an interesting situation. Once they do lock up that spot, they could do it as soon as this weekend. So then you're playing against the Bloomingtons. You're got Indy a couple more times. You got Kalamazoo one more time, and Toledo. So every team is going to be playing for something, and then you're just trying to, all right, let's just get our way into the playoffs. We have our spot. Even second place could be wrapped up relatively quickly, too, if you sweep this weekend. So it'll be an interesting spot where guys need to rest. If guys don't need to rest, guys coming into the lineup, guys going up, guys going down. So it's going to be a really fun final 3-4 weeks of the season.
And you get to spend that first weekend in Coralville, and I know you're excited about that. He's Shane Albahrani. I'm Glenn Marini, and that's Komets Corner.
Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.